Standard Bank is under pressure to reinstate 40 employees. Now, they were dismissed for refusing to vaccinate against COVID-19. Financial Services Union SASBO is now demanding the bank repeal its vaccine mandate. Let's discuss this further with Labour lawyer Micheal Bagraim. Thank you very much for joining us, Micheal. It's a very complicated situation because at the peak of the pandemic, it was necessary for companies to try and protect their employees as much as possible, and one of those ways was to initiate vaccine mandates. Now that the country has relaxed almost entirely COVID regulations, is that not the direction that companies should be taking as well?
Thank you. Thank you for having me on air. I really appreciate it. Yes, some companies are in fact taking that direction. Some are reversing their mandate completely. The real issue over here is, would they take back people that they've already dismissed, and would they then reinstate them back to their former position? What's the issue over there? Do they owe them salary in the past? In law, they don't. In law, at the time of the dismissal, it was fair, it was reasonable, it was in line with some of the mandates given by the Department of Employment and Labour and the Department of Health and Safety. So there wasn't an issue over there. The real problem now becomes a greater one, and I'll tell you why. Not only has the country eased down on the COVID-19 problems and regulations, but there's been the latest case that came out this last week from the CCMA, which reversed a long line of CCMA arbitration awards where the commissioners said that the dismissal was fair. Obviously, as long as you've gone through the health risk assessment, as long as you've gone through the consultation, taken into account the individual's problems, and then dismissed because of operational requirements because they hadn't taken the vaccine. Well, there's been the latest case now that we've seen from the CCMA, which seems to have reversed all those decisions. And I think this is what prompted SASBO, and it's going to prompt many other unions to start taking action. I, as a Labour lawyer, am seeing queries coming through from unions saying, well, can we now ask our people to come back? And can we now challenge those dismissals? Well, a lot of them are too late. But the latest case, which is an interesting one, says that, in fact, the vaccine mandate at the workplace is not constitutional. I don't believe the CCMA has the right to do that. I think that latest case is wrong. I think the Commissioner Richard Byrne was wrong in his decision. I trust that the company itself it's Baroque Medical as the company. I think they will probably take that on review. But you can see what's happened now. We've thrown the cat amongst the pigeons. The CCMA is now wavering in its decisions of earlier days. And in fact, Baroque Medical had two previous cases on exactly the same facts, and it said that the dismissal was fair. In this instance, they're saying the dismissal is unfair. They're saying that it's unconstitutional. And in fact, what I did do is I wrote to the commissioner of the CCMA myself. I wrote to him and I said that, how can you say it's unconstitutional? You don't have a right to say it's unconstitutional. And in fact, the answer has been that the CCMA cannot make any decisions on constitutional grounds. They make decisions on the Labour Relations Act and other labour legislation. So it's going to be an interesting fight. I think it's thrown the parties into turmoil. The unions are going to all start rattling the sabre. I reckon this week we'll see a lot of those claims coming through. So Standard Bank is the first one to face this. It'll be interesting to see what happens at the workplace in the future, because the Department of Labour has in fact still got a set of regulations which I think are unconstitutional myself. The Department of Labour has made regulations now still saying that you can have the vaccine mandate, and they're saying that even workplaces can still, if they think it's correct, they can still ask people to wear masks. So I'm not sure what the Minister of Employment and Labour is doing. He seems to have somehow trying to bring back the old regulations of the government.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you posed a question earlier in one of your responses that you were giving a moment ago, in that it's going to be interesting to see if these unions can actually challenge these companies. And from a broad legal standing point, Micheal, is it possible for a SASBO, for example, to be successful in its call for these 40 employees to be reinstated, given the fact that at the time the company was following policy of mandatory vaccinations at the time of retrenchment?
Well, there's always a possibility. I mean, the point is they're late, so they'd have to claim some sort of condemnation for late filing of their application to the CCMA. They're going to have to go via the CCMA. But now with this latest case, this does open the door. The floodgates are open. Of course, that mandate is still given to the companies via the Department of Employment and Labour. They've still got those same regulations in place. I think those regulations should be completely expunged. And I think someone must come forward and challenge those regulations as quickly as possible, because it does, in fact, leave a lot of confusion. So, yes, I believe SASBO can try, should try. You've got 40 people on the street because of the vaccine mandate. And if now the CCMA is saying it's unconstitutional, well, then what the CCMA ruled on in the first place was wrong. So I don't know. I think you're going to find two Labour lawyers and two opinions. I don't think you're going to find anyone being able to give you a definitive answer on that. But at least SASBO should challenge it.
Very, very interesting times that we are living in, Micheal, and I'm sure we'll be catching up in the coming days as more unions come to the fore to try and get employee jobs back after they had been fired for not getting vaccinated.